That gas, hybrid, or electric. They will.
Since his return to the Oval Office, the commander-in-chief commenting on everything from immigration to TikTok and even last-second pardons.
This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing.
Good morning, Mama Red.
He didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
And his is attracting even more investments to the U.S., this time from Saudi Arabia to the tune of $600 billion.
Good morning.
A lot of zeros. Plus, we're monitoring a new wildfire in Lexington Friends First on this Thursday morning. I am Carly Shimkus.
And I am Tyler. We begin with Brooke Singman live in D.C. with the latest on the Trump administration. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, that's right. President Trump's administration continuing to make moves on some of his promises here. The president signing an executive order on day one telling federal agencies to have workers return back to the office as soon as practicable. Now, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management last night issued a memo writing the only way to get employees back to the office is to adopt a centralized policy requiring return to work for all agencies across the federal government. Agencies must now revise their telework policy and tell workers of a return to in-person work by 5 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Some exceptions there include disability and qualifying medical conditions. OPM recommends that they make all qualifying workers return to the office 30 days from receiving that notice. It also gives department heads the flexibility to make exemptions they deem necessary. Now, the president sat down with Hannity for his first interview since returning to the White House yesterday, pushing for one bill to move his agenda ahead at rapid speed. Listen.
I don't care as long as we get to the final answer. I like the concept of the one bill. I guess I said one big beautiful, and that's what everyone faced. Actually, it's sort of a nice sound to it. But I do like that. It could be something else. It could be a smaller bill and a big bill. Right. But as long as we get to the right answer.
11 a.m. Eastern Time, Trump will be giving a virtual speech to world leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Guys.
Each day, more and more news comes at you like a freight train. Brooke, thank you. President Trump's legal battle over birthright citizenship headed to the courtroom today in Seattle, with numerous states trying to challenge his executive order.
Yeah, speaking of things moving fast, Lucas Tomlinson is live in Washington with the very latest. Hi, Lucas.
Good early morning, Carly and Todd. President Trump's executive order changing birthright citizenship will face its first legal test in a Seattle courtroom later today. About half the states in the U.S. have sued the White House over this new executive order. The majority of states, as you can see by the map, Trump did not win in the election. Now, as promised, Trump has ordered immigration and customs enforcement officers to carry out a series of in sanctuary cities. In the first 33 hours of President Trump returning to office, he has made nearly 460 arrests of illegal immigrants, including many with criminal records. The countries from where these illegal aliens come from include Afghanistan, Angola, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Senegal, and Venezuela. Let the clicker go up there. Last night, our own Sean Hannity spoke to Trump in the Oval Office.
We talk Venezuela, that's a big abuser, but these are countries from
Iran,
the Congo.
Good morning, Kit Kat. Good morning, Marjo. Happy birthday.
Much more than South America.
Happy birthday,
Trump says he wants to get rid of
Marjo.
sanctuary cities and vowed to cut off funding to get them to complete the new law.
We're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to end them, and a lot of the people in those communities don't want them. You know, California is a big example.
Cut off their money.
I might have to do that.
Now, the Pentagon has ordered 1,500 soldiers and Marines from the active duty forces to deploy to the southern border after Trump declared a national emergency. They'll join the more than 2,500 that were already deployed there, and U.S. military transport planes will also be flying deportation flights. Carly, Todd.
All right, Lucas Todd, and live for Russ in Washington. Lucas, thank you so much. To a black weather alert and not good news for California. 2 new wildfires breaking out in the Los Angeles area. The Sepulveda fire already burning 20 acres along the 05 freeway into Bel Air. Evacuation warnings were issued in Brentwood and Bel Air. And the fast-moving Hughes fire already scorching more than 10,000 acres yesterday and is now just 14% contained. Around 31,000 residents are under evacuation orders and 23,000 are under warning.
When you're ready.
I had to hightail it home to get my animals and make sure we had all the important things. So it was nerve-wracking.
This is the first time in all my being here since 89, 88, I've ever had to pack up and grab everything from my room and throw it into the car.
Over 4,000 first responders are currently beating the Hughes fire from the air and from the ground.
I'm bringing the dogs back in. It's cold.
Our Fox weather forecast. And JD, we had a guest on from this Castaic region, the Santa Rita region. He was helping people in the Palisades area. And I asked him, I was like, you know, you guys are kind of ground zero for fires in California during normal times. Worried are you that this is going to hit you at some point? He says, we're worried. Well, now it's here.
And it exploded. I saw it yesterday in the afternoon, and I put out an alert to all of our producers, and it really went from nothing to 1,000 acres in just a matter of hours. So this is really concerning. And when we say cause, it doesn't have to be a malicious human. It can just be human related. You know, certainly we watch for the power lines coming down. If the power is not off, that could be a certainly something that could ignite and spread fires. But we've had warnings in this area for particularly dangerous situation yet again this week. The winds are fairly calm now, but you know what? It is so dry, and it doesn't take much to spread those fires. State shut down right now, I-5, 45-mile stretch there because of the fire. And again, this just started yesterday afternoon, and it has just exploded. Also, in the last couple of hours, a couple of new fires. The Sepulveda fire, 0% containment there, of course, heavily populated areas.
And it's too cold outside.
You know, one of the huge fire that we're talking about, but we also have the Clay fire that started. And you see those current wind gusts, so 37 miles per hour. You know, yesterday when the fire ignited, the winds were not that bad. So that's why, although we did have 100 mile per hour winds, which we anticipated in the Hughes fire, it was like 20 to 30 miles per hour. So it's so dry. It doesn't take much for these fires to start and spread, and it's just so concerning because these firefighters are depleted. Like, they have just been ongoing, and it's hard to even imagine. The pictures will say everything.
Pay attention to that Sepulveda fire, everybody, because I know it said only 20 acres, but like you said, that is a heavily populated. That's UCLA, and I've been there a gazillion times. Always driving on the 405. Huge.
It's cold.
Started, by the way.
And Donald Trump is going to be in California and North Carolina for the storm damage by Hurricane Helene and the fire
damage that's still ongoing today.
Thanks, JD. Of course. Speaker Mike Johnson at a possible investigation into Joe Biden's last day family pardons.
That's right. We got the details on that coming up next.
They weren't the crime family. Why do they need pardons? Look.
Today to consider more Trump cabinet nominations, including Doug Collins, Lee Zeldin, and Doug Burgum. But some Republicans are accusing Democrats of...
Morning.
At this point, I think Obama had 12 cabinet members.
Good morning, all my beautiful.
And we have one. So this is just, you know, people put his team together. They're going to fight this. Trump won the election. He won the vote. He won the electoral vote. He needs to be able to put his team together.
I think the Senate's going to confirm all of his picks, and the Democrats can either work with us, they can work against us, but no matter what, he's getting his.
Senate Republicans are also trying to push a vote to confirm John Radcliffe for CIA director. His confirmation only needs 51 votes.
Yeah, my set went up. Congratulations, Chris Murphy. To a Fox News alert now, officials say 7 San Antonio police officers were shot last night while responding to a possible suicide in. Police got a call from a family member of that barricaded suspect who fired at the officers when they arrived on scene. He was later found dead by SWAT officers. 4 police officers sent to the hospital.
Good morning, Kit Kat.
Let's face it, guys only want
you guys, it is seriously cold.
Instead of this synthetic body wash.
Like,
Sydney Sweeney, body wash genie?
I didn't think it was going to be this cold for this long.
I'll let you guys in on.
Hush,
your highest self, your most full out self is this creatine. I take it every single day, and it helps.
You're so spoiled, rotten.
In addition of the other 3 officials have not revealed the condition of those other 3 officers. Carly.
All right, President Trump joined Haley for the first Oval Office interview of his second term, taking time to chastise Biden for handing down those last-minute pardons to his family.
I had the option. They said, sir, would you like to pardon everybody, including yourself? He said, I'm not going to pardon anybody. We didn't do anything wrong. This guy went around giving pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
Tiffany Murray Brannon is a political strategist and the host of the TMB Problems podcast, and she joins me now. Tiffany Murray, good morning to you. So you just heard Donald Trump there, who's been accused of every crime under the sun. And then there's Joe Biden, who spent 50 years portraying himself as this humble middle-class guy, and yet he's the one who issued these protective pardons on his way out the door. And I was thinking about this. This could be one of the reasons why Donald Trump won the election, because it speaks to the issue of authenticity. You know what you're getting with Donald Trump, and that's how he is going to govern. So what do you think about all of this?
I think you're absolutely correct. I think at the end of the day, this comes down to integrity. And Donald Trump, he might say things that make people mad or a little out there sometimes. What you see is what you get. And at the end of the day, this comes down to an integrity issue. And the left and the Democratic Party clearly have one. They have had one for quite a while. And, they're virtuous people. What kind of president, 15 minutes in office, goes through his own personal family and just hands out pardons?
Damn, it's only 19 degrees outside.
So unpresidential and just really taints the office and I think his legacy, if he really had one to be. But I think Trump actually is right.
Yeah, well, so at the end of the clip that we just played between Donald Trump and Sean Hannity, the president did say the sad thing is Joe Biden didn't pardon himself. And then you have House Speaker Mike Johnson also saying this yesterday about a potential plan for the future. Watch this.
It probably gives the suspicion that, they call it the Biden crime family. If they weren't the crime family, why do they need pardons, right? Look, there's a lot of attention that's going to be paid to this, and I think it's appropriate, and we will be looking at it as well.
So it sounds like he's teasing an investigation, and Republicans have gone down that road before. Is it something that you would want to see again?
I think that there's a big difference with how this would be handled, because unlike the left, we don't use the government to after someone with a specific last name. This is clearly, it's more of a where there's smoke, there's fire, not let's look for smoke and then make smoke and then pretend there's a fire. And I think that there have been some egregious crimes. I think that one with, the China issue, especially through the Hunter Biden allegations, there's been a lot of very suspicious financial activities that I think might be worth investigating, especially if they ever, were a threat to our national. That's really what this comes down to. It's a national security threat that I think it's a lot more important than hush money to a former porn star.
Okay, so first week of Donald Trump's second term in office, which means executive orders is the phrase of the week. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is weighing in on this. Listen.
Is day one already trying to shred the foundational documents of American society and try to end birthright citizenship. We don't have to listen to him. It's illegal. We don't have to treat this seriously. It's a joke.
Well, happy birthday, Spelljammer.
While some Democrats are cooperating, others are not.
Happy birthday,
and
fellow
some of what
Aquarius.
Donald Trump is trying to do is already facing legal challenges. So how does this all play out?
It's the age of Aquarius, age of Aquarius.
Have you read history? Do you understand how the Constitution works? There are certain, checks and balances set in place that allow our government to function properly, and you can't just randomly decide to not obey the law. That's not how this works. You see this going on with the things that Tom Homan's facing in terms of deportation and border control. It seems to be some random magical thought that we can just ignore this if you're an electoral. The American people voted for a mandate with this election. We were very loud. We were very clear. We won the popular vote. We are asking for policies that are in line with not just our foundation, but with all of our documents that are the basic, fundamentals of what America is and what America means. And so I think at the end of the day, it's a little Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and just spout random emotional thoughts, but it's quite another to actually know the law.
Tiffany, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great morning. We appreciate it.
You too. Thanks.
All right, President's executive order to end birthright citizenship is heading to court as some Democrat states try to the move.
But Texas Congressman Brian Babin just introduced a bill to bolster arguments from 4 states that are suing the Trump administration over its order to end citizenship.
Chanley Painter is here with all the details. Hi, Chanley.
Hey, good morning, Todd and Carly. So today's hearing could set the stage for what will likely be a drawn-out all the way to the Supreme Court. The judge will be considering a request by Democrat-led led states to issue a temporary restraining order and stop the event of President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship, which is set to take effect next month. Trump's order will require federal agencies to no longer issue citizenship documents to U.S.-born children of undocumented mothers or mothers in the country on temporary visas unless the baby's father is a citizen, a green card holder. This lawsuit argues the executive order violates the 14th Amendment, which the federal government has long interpreted to mean that those born on American soil are citizens at birth. The states argue that enforcing Trump's order would cause, quote, irreparable harm because thousands of children will be born within their borders but denied full participation and opportunity in American society. This lawsuit is one of several filed this week against the Trump administration on the issue, including one from a coalition of 18 Democrat state attorneys general also suing Trump, bringing the total to 22 states seeking to stop the executive order from taking effect. And today's hearing should be the first to get the matter before a judge. Attorneys for the Department of Justice opposed the restraining order request in a filing yesterday. Guys.
All right, Shanley, thank you. Let's bring in Texas Congressman Brian Babbitt. And Congressman, you just introduced a bolster Trump's EO, which would close loopholes that exploit birthright citizenship and end birthright tourism. And I think it's so important because we all have to be clear on how much Trump's executive order is going to face obstacles in the courts. There's a lot of tricky constitutional language that executive order has to get around, whereas your bill actually changes the law. How does your bill do that?
This bill is a bill that I've had for several years, but its time has come. And one reason for that is because President Trump has made so many executive orders here in just the last, 48 hours. And incredibly, he is determined to seal that border and secure our border. And when he wrote that executive order, we actually welcome these lawsuits. Because these lawsuits being filed by the ACLU and these blue states and cities, which you just had on your map and on the screen there, we want to codify what he is doing with an executive order and pass this bill, get it through the House, the Senate, and have President Trump sign it into law so that the next president can't come along, another Joe Biden, and just overturn the executive order. We have to have it written in law, and that's what it's for. We'd like to see this because it's going to have to wend its way through the courts, and then hopefully the Supreme Court of the United States will rule, and we'll take care of this problem once and for all. This citizenship, the whole premise of it is based on the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which was written for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to make the children of freed slaves, and they were freed, to make them citizens. It had nothing to do with bringing illegal aliens in or birthright tourism, a multi-million-dollar business where people come, wealthy folks from Russia, from China, give birth to a baby here. And goodness gracious, let me tell you, Todd, 100,000 women come across this border each year to have babies. 1 in 10 is now an illegal birth. Just get this thing right. We got to get it done right, and we got to get it done quickly.
Yeah, those numbers are staggering. And to your point, if you can get this bill in place, law, I almost think that at some point these cases, when they do go before the Supreme Court's going to say these are moot. There's now a law on the books that sort of takes the mantle of the executive order, and then you move on from there. Speaking of moving on, the Trump administration reportedly getting ready to halt.
It was my first solo trip. I switched station from New York to Marseille to see who was there.
It's good to see you.
No.
It's Marjo's birthday. Hey, what I say about growling? Get in your bed. Yeah, you're an instigator.
लाइक्स और इंटरनेट डेटा का हिसाब रखते हैं कि 10-20 रुपए के पीछे कौन भागता है। यही है इसका तरीका। कभी 10 रुपए, कभी 20 रुपए, कभी ये है असली स्कैम। पर अब ये नया इंडिया सबका करेगा हिसाब बराबर।
There's no damn fights in here. And it's Spelljammer's birthday.
halt federal funding for the type of research that critics have linked to COVID. A person familiar with the plans tells the Wall Street Journal, quote, the goal of the order would be to stop scientists with U.S. funding from conducting gain-of-function research on viruses that could endanger human health. Congressman, shouldn't this have been done by the Biden administration the moment?
I put cat out this morning. I don't know if I should have done that.
About the danger of gain-of-function. Why
I
does
didn't
this
realize
fall
it
on
was so
Trump
cold.
to do in his first 96 hours in office?
Because of the incompetency of the Biden administration and the people in that administration.
I've been having the cat come in at night.
It's hard to even wrap your mind around the
I'll be
things
darned
that
if
they
it
did
ain't
over the last 4
19
years.
degrees out.
Deliberately opening our border up, deliberately gain of function to have dangerous viruses become even more dangerous. And then on top of that, you've seen Joe Biden in the last few hours and minutes of his administration.
I got to put on my over-the-shoulder boulder holder.
For violations of the law, pardoning Anthony Fauci.
Yeah, happy birthday to all the people
who are right in the middle of this.
Spelljammers, that's the birthday.
Money, American
Marjo's
taxpayer
an Aquarian.
This virus onto the world. And so, listen, Trump is not afraid by the horns. He is a leader. He is not afraid to lead. He will lead from the front, whereas Joe Biden, he tried to lead from the basement, and it was horrible. And we've got to get back to normal. We're trying to do. So I agree with what President Trump is doing, and I'm looking forward to the next 4 years of getting this country back. It's a new day in America. I'm more optimistic about my country. Because there were a lot of people who were bordering on being in despair over these last 4 years with what was happening.
We've heard that repeated over and over again, especially this week, the week of the inauguration. Congressman Brian Babin, thank you for joining us here this morning. We appreciate it. Carly.
All right, thank you. Trump sounding off on Democrat policies. Listen here.
I think one thing is happening is
there's still snow on the ground out here.
They can't govern and that their policies are terrible. They don't use common sense. In my opinion, the Democrats don't use common sense.
The Trump Justice Department is now ordering federal prosecutors to investigate sanctuary cities.
I'm so glad you called me, Mama D. I don't know why my text is
immigration crackdown. Cities like Chicago, where Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's going to shield migrants from deportation.
I find it unconscionable that this administration would attempt to create not just division, but fear within our public schools. I have directed all of our sister agencies, as well as all of our departments, to stand firm and to uphold the local ordinance.
Chicago resident P. Ray Easley is the host of the Black Excellence Hour, and she joins me now. P. Ray, good morning to you. It's great to see you. So you knew this fight was coming, and here it is. What do you and other residents in Chicago think about Mayor Brandon Johnson saying he's going to shield illegal immigrants from Donald Trump's deportation plans?
We hope that Donald Trump is very serious imprisoning those who want to stand in his way. We understand that we are in the middle of an invasion, and every single person who came across that border came with an invoice on their back for the Chicago taxpayer. Nobody else gets to be shielded from crimes, and neither do they. We need everybody to go back where they belong so that we reallocate our tax funds to the citizens of the city.
Yeah, you know, and something else that Mayor Johnson said in that soundbite that we just played, he talked about fear. He said, I find unconscionable that this administration would attempt to create not just division, but fear. Sure, there is the fear of getting deported, but there's also the fear of getting your life taken away from you. Like Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungary, they were afraid before they died. I think victim fear is something that Mayor Johnson has considered.
I think that he has really invested a lot of his political capital into bringing the Venezuelans here to Chicago. The Chicago Teachers Union traveling to Venezuela for the past decade, literally building relationships and inviting people to come to our city to spend our tax dollars. Chicago was the epicenter of the measles outbreak.
My little brother's a funny guy.
Because they put unvaccinated children of the migrants in the school with our children, and then disease spread throughout the Chicago public schools. We more about the children of Chicago.
Usually I would be sitting on my heating pad right now, but the dogs have stolen it.
We can recalibrate and get our city back to where they arrived.
Why would the Chicago Teachers Union go to Venezuela, a communist country that we have no diplomatic relations with.
Mama's heating pad.
They said that they were there to learn about their socialism and that they found them very interesting. I think that America should do a deeper dive on why a municipal union was going down to Venezuela to build political ties and why all of their citizens showed up right here in our city. It's like they passed out maps.
Yes, Mama
All
Ray.
right, well, that needs to be further looked into. Okay,
Coming in with the
Congress
happy
just passed the Laken
birthdays.
Riley going to be sent to Donald Trump's desk
yeah.
to sign into law. But there's this issue of sanctuary cities that won't comply with any federal law. Here is what Donald Trump said about that yesterday on Hannity. Listen to this.
We're trying to get rid of them. We're trying to end them. And a lot of the people in those communities don't want them. You know, California is a big example.
Cut off their money.
I might have to do that.
So what do you think about that? I mean, you live in a sanctuary city. How would you feel if Donald Trump cut federal funds to Chicago over this issue?
I would feel very insulted. All of the reprieve that we receive in this city comes through federal intervention, whether it be Donald Trump or President Trump, rather, getting rid of the illegals or the Shackman, the Democrat Party, stop bullying people into their party. We need the federal here. And I don't think that it's fair that we're paying federal income taxes and we are not allowed to get federal help because our mayor has a political goal line with the people.
That's a great point. P. Ray Easley, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, the people are going to suffer because of...
You're very welcome. All right, Ty.
Billionaire Frank McCoy.
Hey, votes have consequences, baby.
Up to buy TikTok.
Classic duo.
Consequences,
baby. Coming up next. McCord, an internet creator.
Maybe you would need to
Mr. Beast
revote your
could be
mayor.
joining forces to buy TikTok.
You
after
can recall
President Trump.
them. All you got to do is recall them. Revote.
The internet, he just creates things that go on
Come
the
on,
internet.
don't sit there and act.
See, she joins us from Fox Business.
If I had invented the internet,
That mentality fucking pisses me off, right? Oh, we pay federal money, but we can't get federal money? Well, you fucking elected a mayor who's not going to cooperate with the president. So recall that mayor and have a new election. It's easy as that. Don't play the victim. Don't sit there and butch cry now. What the fuck?
I cover the internet. It's part of my job, so yay me. You know, there's plenty of money out there. There are plenty of people that could get together, band together TikTok. TikTok has value. The value, $50 billion is, I think, a good number. We already know that, and I had Kevin O'Leary on Mornings with me Monday, about past Friday. He told Bill and Dana, $20 billion on the table. $50 billion, sure. But who's going to be a part of this? So Frank McCoy has been partnering. He's the real estate billionaire. He's been working with Kevin O'Leary. He told Axios that Mr. Beast, who is this YouTube star, again, a very wealthy man apparently, is going to be a part of this bid too. Entrepreneurial, we welcome everyone. So listen to President Trump talk about the issue of TikTok.
Did they just say Mr. Beast is going to be one of the buys of TikTok? Well, there's some fucking news there. Yes, I heard. That was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And see, you already know my views on women preachers. Oh, Officer Tatum showed it. Oh, it's all over. It's all over. It's all over the news. There was like 50 news stories with that bishop. That's what she was. She was the bishop. She went on The View. Yeah, I know. Gross.
China and spying, and then I'll wrap this all together after.
It's whatever, you know.
You can say that about everything made in China. Look, we have our telephones made in China for the most part. We have things made in China, so why don't they mention that? You know, the interesting with TikTok though is you're dealing with a lot of young people. So
the Lord will
see fit to be spying on young people, on young kids watching crazy videos. I think.
Yeah, I'm shaking. I don't get it at all, Kit Kat.
But they make you telephones and they make you computers and they make a lot of other things. Isn't that a bigger threat?
So one of the things that Frank McCoy said is that he would join Larry Ellison. You know, Frank McCoy has also said it's not the money piece of this, it's the politics piece of this that is the hard part. And that's what Donald's talking about with regards to China. China has to agree to all of this. Xi Jinping, to be specific, has to agree to allow ByteDance to sell of TikTok, or 100% to a U.S. company. As far as this is Mr. Beast, I mean, none of this is confirmed. A spokesperson for Mr. Beast has not said that this is official. He has put social media posts out there saying that a lot of billionaires, so we can report that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
And first of all, his birth name is Jimmy Donaldson, so not Mr. Beast on the birth certificate.
Shocked by that.
I was looking at YouTube though. Oh my gosh, he is so famous. He has 347 million subscribers. Each video he posts out. 70 million, 151 million, 201 million, 100 recorded internet creator Mr. Beast could be joining forces to buy TikTok after President Trump signs an executive order to delay the ban.
Yeah, Mr. Beast is a beast. Damn, it's hard to read
If
chat.
I had invented the internet, I wouldn't be here right now.
Right. TikTok, baby.
I cover the internet. It's part of my
its
job.
name?
So yay me. You know, there's plenty of money out there.
Yeah.
That could get together, band together to TikTok. TikTok has value.
Of course,
The
she made
value,
it political.
$50 billion is, I would think, a good number. We already know,
And don't
and
get
I
it
had
twisted.
Kevin O'Leary on
Any
Martha
of them
Grant,
an opportunity
Monday,
to say
Friday,
something to
he
him,
told
they're
Bill and
gonna
Dana,
do it.
$20 billion on the table, $50 billion, sure. But who's going to be a part of this? So Frank McCourt, who has been partnering, he's the real estate billionaire. He's been working with Kevin O'Leary. He told Axios that Mr. Beast, who is this YouTube star, again, a very wealthy man apparently, is going to be a part of this bid too. So he's very entrepreneurial. We welcome everyone. President Trump talk about the issue of TikTok, China, and spying, and then I'll wrap this all together after.
You can say that about everything made in China. Look, we have our telephones made in China for the most part. We have so many things made in China, so why don't they mention that, you know?
Let me get to
The
some
interesting
issues.
thing with that is you're dealing with a lot of young people, so
They love it.
is it that important for China to be spying on young people, on young kids watching crazy videos on things?
I don't want China spying.
No, but they make you telephones and they make you computers and they make a lot of other things. Isn't that a bigger threat?
So one of the things that Frank is that he would join Larry Ellison. You know, Frank McCourt has also said it's the money piece of this, it's the politics piece of this that is the hard part. And that's what Donald Trump was talking about with regards to China. China has to agree to all of this. Xi Jinping, to be specific, has to agree to allow ByteDance to sell 50% TikTok, or 100% to a U.S. company. As far as this is Mr. Beast and his I mean, none of this is confirmed.
Hang on, y'all. I'll be right
spokesperson
back.
for Mr. Beast has not said that this is official. He has put social media posts out there saying that a lot of billionaires are calling. We can report that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
And first of all, his birth name is Jimmy Donaldson, so not Mr. Beast on the birth certificate.
Shocked by that.
I was YouTube though. Oh my gosh, he is so famous. He has 347 million subscribers. Each video he posts out, 70 million, 100 million, 201 million, 100.
The following material is a story about a young and wild family who chose to go with the wind and set off on an adventure of a lifetime.
Skywagon 22, signal.
We're still traffic Skywagon on the active, taking 2-2.
That was very pretty, but not what I want.
6 a.m. on the East
I'll be right
Coast.
back, you
It is
guys.
Thursday, January 23rd. This is Fox and Friends, and we go right to a Fox weather alert. 2 wildfires break out in Los Angeles, and they are spread fast. No, I'm not reading last week's headline. It is this week's. More than 10,000 already burned. Thousands forced out of their homes. We're tracking it all.
And forget the first 100 days of Donald Trump's administration. It's more like the first hours of Donald Trump's administration. President Trump sat down with Fox News' first interview since returning to the White House. As you can see right there with Hannity, right next to the Resolute desk, and he, our president says, our country problems, and he has solutions.
With time, effort, money, unfortunately, but they're all solvable problems. We can get our country back. But if we didn't win this race, I really believe our country would have done.
And of course, getting the border back in order is top on the list. The Pentagon deploys 1,500 troops, helicopters, and planes.
And the Laken Riley Act sailing through Congress, sending the first major legislative win to Trump's desk. Fox and Friends starts now.
All right, President Trump sitting down with Fox for his first interview since his return to office, assuring America he's got the solution to our biggest problems.
I felt that we shouldn't have had to necessarily be here. Could have been done, a lot of work. Could have been, have inflation, we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan disaster. We wouldn't have October 7th with Israel, where so many people were killed, and you wouldn't have a Ukraine war going on. But with all that being said, I think it's bigger. It's bigger if it were more traditional.
Only the second time in history.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't have consecutive terms.
Yeah. Well, they say it's historically bigger. I don't know about that. But I can say it showed us that the radical left, their philosophies and policies are horrible. They don't work. You look at crime, you look at what's gone on at the border, you look at what's going to happen, the crime that's going to happen, but I think we got there just now. They're all solvable problems.
I agree.
They're all solvable.
Not easy.
With time, effort, money, unfortunately, but they're all solvable.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
But if we didn't win this race,
Back
I really believe our country would have been lost forever.
Kudos to Sean Hannity, first interview. Last time we got the first interview of the presidency in the East Room, but it was wide-ranging, and once again, you just see, where you ask Donald Trump, he's going to answer, and this is just such a, once again, a breath of fresh air. So many reporters, so many TV networks wanted to talk to Joe Biden, but he was just holed up for 4 years and just completely different.
Well, the president has a lot of energy, Ainsley, and he is not hesitating. He doesn't want to waste any time. If there's any sort of debate or anything about him keeping his campaign promises, I think that was pretty much demolished on day one with the executive orders that he signed. And
Thanks for hanging out with me, you
He
guys.
believes that he has the support of the American people, especially with him winning
Shit, I
the
better
popular
plug you
vote,
in.
and he's going to get it done and quickly. The biggest thing, and of course we'll talk about this later, is sending the military to the border. That is something that the generals didn't want in the last administration. They did not want him to go after the cartel, and he's going to do it now.
Yeah, 460 arrests of illegals, including those with criminal histories like sexual assault, domestic assault, drugs and weapons crimes, already arrested since Monday after the inauguration. And in fact, all of these Army soldiers and Marines, it's a 60% increase in active duty forces since the inauguration heading down to our southern border. I liked last night that Sean said, I probably shouldn't say this, but I remember after the 2020 election, you and I had a conversation because they've been friends for 30 years.
Oh, don't talk about that.
I asked him, you asked me, Mr. President.
I don't know what you're talking about, Kit Kat.
Back in 4 years, like Winston Churchill, like Grover Cleveland, to serve those 2 terms non-consecutively. And Sean said,
I don't know what you're talking
I
about.
thought it would be bigger if you came back. And then Trump said it's turning out to be bigger. Then he talked about TikTok. He said, we're so worried
What
about
you mean? I don't know what you're talking
China
about.
seeing our kids doing crazy videos. He said, but what's more of a threat, they make our phones, they make our computers.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I never heard this. You know, why did you run again? And he said, if I didn't get so many votes last time, if I got 50 million votes, I wouldn't have done it.
If I knew what you were talking about,
70 million votes. So it's more
it would be a very
sweet
thing to say.
So he gets the most votes, but he loses
sweet
by,
thing to say.
15, 20 million.
Succotash.
That's why I knew I was coming back. And he
I've
said,
got the
I like
list
to get
this
things
morning.
done. I've always gotten things done. So when he asked, is there any doubt? Things done. I thought that was really special. Also, when he talked about the pardons, everyone go on the J6 pardons. He goes, well, look at the other pardons on the other side. And today, as every network,
I need to go get a bucket of water. I'll be right back.
We're talking about the January 6th pardon, many of which people were just walking through, some of which were serious. So I said 4 years is enough. Number one. Number two, They just pardoned Joe Biden, pardoned a guy that killed a 8-year-old and their mom. And he was in the middle of testifying to gang members. The horrendous people that Joe Biden has pardoned. And they act like January 6th was the only date on the calendar.
You better get out of my bedroom.
He doesn't care. That's like caution to the wind. This is what I'm doing. This is what I know I'm doing.
Stay out of my room.
I think what puts cold water on the argument when it comes to the cops and protesters, we watched our cities be burned for months, and they assaulted cops for months, and there was no pushback. There were no charges. The feds weren't even on the ground to prosecute these people. So I don't want anybody targeting cops, but I think what ended up happening, according to some of the reports, I pretty much confirm it, is when there was some debate going on about who to pardon, and they kept going back and forth, and he said, just pardon them all. Right. Just pardon them all. I'm not going to do this in your effort to delay me getting the J6's pardon the people that were overcharged. A lot of legal scholars agree. Then I'm just going to pardon them all.
Yeah. Don't you remember when it was in the news when Trump was leaving office? Are you going to pardon yourself? He said, I didn't want to pardon myself last night or my family because we did nothing wrong. But the media ran with that. They couldn't believe that it could be considered for him to pardon himself. And then look exactly what Joe Biden did. He pardoned everyone in his family preemptively. The Republicans went after him. And Pam Bondi already said, we don't have an enemies list.
But think about it. Had Trump pardoned himself, none of those prosecutions at the federal level ever would have happened. At the federal level, the President of the United States is going to go to tomorrow and then to California as well. Take a look at Western North Carolina. Keep in mind, it was just last week we were reporting that people who lost their homes because of Hurricane Helene, they were getting a knock on their hotel rooms. Today's your last day. On Monday, apparently this transitional residential act has been extended for 2 more months for those people. So the president's going to go look with his own 2 eyes what happened at other places, in LA, which has been, decimated in some spots by the fires. Made it very clear last night chatting with Sean that the federal FEMA, not so good. And he's got a better idea. Have states do it, and the feds will give them the money.
I will say that Los Angeles has changed everything because a lot is going to be necessary for Los Angeles. And a lot of people on the other side want to happen. And North Carolina, too. Fast. Well, they don't care about North Carolina. The Democrats don't care about North Carolina. What they've done with FEMA is so bad. So on Friday, I'm stopping in North Carolina, first stop, because those people were treated very badly by Democrats. And I'm stopping there. We're going to get that thing straightened out because they're still suffering from a hurricane from months ago. And then I'm going to go to California. FEMA is a whole other discussion. Because all it does is complicate
buckets of water everywhere.
FEMA has not done their job for the last 4 years. I have FEMA working really well. In Florida, we had Alabama tornadoes. But unless you have some types of
I'm sorry. I know he was crying. He's spoiled rotten.
And FEMA is going to be
he can't stand to be away from me. He hates it. Hold on, watch out, you guys, so I can get you some of that water.
Just watch natural body. Sydney, Sweeney, body wash, Jeannie.
What's your wish? It could be anything.
Coconuts.
Come on.
Sydney, Sweeney, sit down.
Dr. Squash Body Wash for men who are natural.
My kitchen.
Hey, Osman, are you sure that's the right hat for your first day?
Don't be a guru, Daddy-o. Jester is the best one. It's the Mountain Dew Code Red of hats. And the best cut is Stagger.
Oh, dude.
I'm Austin, but you can call me Fuzzy Man.
Here.
Back, everybody!
All right, water down for everybody.
Oh,
man.
Everything. This is Tyler. He said we can be best friends. All I have to do is shut up.
Yeah, the second I go out the door, he can't stand to be away from me. I'm sorry about that, y'all, but I had to run bucket out to the horse and the goat and into here because if it gets below 32, we shut all the water on the property off except to the main house. And so I just run buckets, and I've been running buckets for 3 days now. So I'm sorry for his crying, but it must be done. And, you know, he's a spoiled brat. He'll be staying in the RV while I go to work today. And I'm going to put the younger dogs in the igloo. When it's in the igloo and everything. So. That's my boy. Yours is the same way, yeah.
Calendar first, because how
he's so mouthy. He's the mouth of the South right there.
From a tragedy to the next tragedy. So,
and I could be standing right here, and he's still gonna cry at me because I'm not petting him or I'm not attention to him.
They essentially, the administration were calling them liars. I was down around when they said, FEMA's not here, we're not seeing them. Right. You know,
isn't that right? Where's your bone?
But we're not getting any
at?
help. So the president said, let me reroute my schedule. I'm going to go first.
Democratic governor.
Yes.
Again. And listen, this is unlike the waters that always hit California. They never get hit in the mountains like this. So this is all brand new to them. You were on the ground there. So smart about FEMA. Now, think about it. FEMA gets praised what they're doing. Florida, Jeb Bush.
Or if I start paying attention to another dog.
The president level, Bush at the time took it for granted. Oh, these guys going to get it done. What do you
get mad at me.
And it fell apart. He took all the blame. And now FEMA in North Carolina, they look like they were sitting on horrific stories about only going to Democratic households if they support Trump, don't go. And ended up being true. And they said it was fact checked. But now he's going to go out to California. And he's got an Interior Secretary.
Now he's chewing on his bone. So that's annoys you. That noise right there.
You have to, in front of Gavin Newsom, I hope President Trump says, I told this guy to rake the forest. I told him to reroute the water. You made it worse. Because they need to know this governor has totally let them down, not just the mayor.
He also said he's going to get rid of sanctuary cities, and Sean said how are you going to do that? Are you going to cut off their money? He said that's basically the only way you can. And he said, look at California. Those residents don't want to be a sanctuary city. They don't. But it's Newsom that wants it, and these Democratic leaders. He also, when we interviewed Franklin Graham on our show the other day at the inauguration, he said, I said, how's everything going in Carolina? He said, Ainsley, they still need help. They need a lot of help. And he's with Samaritan's Purse. So I'm sure, because remember it was after the wind, right? Or it was in October when, after the hurricanes hit, he went with Franklin Graham. Right. In Atlanta, in the Georgia area.
It was before the ground.
Right, right. So I'm sure they're working together.
You know, I think Gavin Newsom's going to get an earful, and I think Gavin Newsom's probably going to say, you know what? You're right about that. That reservoir should have been full. You're right. People should have gone ahead and cleared that dry brush.
You really think Gavin Newsom's going to say, Trump, you're right?
He should.
Because there is
Trump is right
I'm telling you right now, there's no way.
It's so great if they could work together.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I'm hopeful.
I watched him do an interview. He said President was true about the smelled fish, totally not true about the water. I watched him do it because he thought in times of tragedy, you need to do a podcast. So he went and did that. And he defended himself and tried to exonerate himself in the middle of a fire. And I think it was 10% contained at the time.
Well, they've got the evidence. The reservoir was empty. It had been empty for months. And that just simply at the height of wildfire season, particularly given how historically dry it's been, it's inexcusable. So let's see what maybe they can get on the same page. And in the meantime, let's go back out to California.
Yeah, I mean, it's so sad. It's happening again. Now, thousands of firefighters are battling 2 new wildfires in Los Angeles County.
So overnight, crews gaining the upper hand on a brush fire that tore through 40 acres along the 400 freeway, just east of where the Palisades fire is still burning. Evacuation was issued earlier for Brentwood and Bel Air. Well, they're now lifted.
Meanwhile, to the north of Los Angeles, the fast-moving Hughes fire exploded more than 10,000 acres, and it is only 14% contained.
Wow.
54,000 people in California are under evacuation orders at this hour, and
all right,
warnings
stop the
in
itching.
that particular area.
Hightail it home to get my animals and make sure we had all the important things. It was nerve-wracking.
This is the first time in all my years living here since 89, 88, I've ever had to pack up and grab everything from my room and throw it into
70 miles per hour. I check in with senior meteorologist Janice Dean, Fox Weather.
Woo, it's 19 degrees outside, and I am not happy about it.
All this week that we were into an extreme fire danger, a particularly dangerous situation yet again this week. And unfortunately, we had a fire breakout that spread exponentially in a matter of hours. So 10,000 acres, 14% contained. This is the fire that we are talking about. And winds right now in excess of 30 miles per hour. And this time yesterday, when the fire broke out, the winds were not that bad. So this is a situation, doesn't take much to start or spread fires, and that's the concern because those winds are going to go up throughout the day today. There are the current winds, as we mentioned, like 35 miles per hour around the Los Angeles area through the peaks and the valleys here. And then the wind gusts throughout today, we could reach 40, 50 miles per hour in the area where that latest fire is burning. And then winds calm down and we actually could get a forecast this weekend. But the concern there is too much rain is going to cause
mudslides from all the burnt timber. Won't be able to hold back the earth. 5 minutes, y'all. We got 5 minutes left this morning.
Iran to Congo, countries that you don't even think of, that much more than South America.
Under Joe Biden, more than 8 million people entered the U.S. illegally. That's the influx of illegal aliens in U.S. history, guys.
Right. Wow. A lot of picking up to do. Thanks, Lucas. Mayor Adams in New York City said, guys, calm down. You know, obviously we have a huge illegal alien population, many of which don't commit crimes. Right. Still go to
really,
the hospital.
Spelljammer.
So, you know, still do your thing if you need to.
I'll look into that.
Because by the time they get to the criminals,
where did you see that at?
We'll be dealing with something for people who've been here for a couple of decades.
Well, and in particular, and so 10,000 to the southern border. They're not going to be enforcement. They can't because of posse comitatus. But apparently there is some move in the administration. Hey, let's look at posse comitatus. It was part of the Insurrection Act of 1807 or something like that. Maybe we use...
You want to get over posse comitatus? I'll tell you how. Station troops in Mexico. Right across our border. Then the troops won't be deployed domestically. They'll be deployed... Oh, bitch. You see, people be motherfucking... excuse me, please clean my mouth. People be stupid, okay? This is all right? All we have to do is step 2 feet over that imaginary line, and our troops will be in Mexico. Then they're not being deployed domestically. Good morning, Spa. We're about to shut down. We shut down at 8. Every Thursday and Friday morning, 7 to 8, we're here. And I'm going to put up a community post later about what night you guys want to live stream at what time is best for all of you guys. My friends and family on here. But yeah, literally, all we have to do is step 2 feet. Mexico. That's it. That's it. You got to do. And then that whole thing goes away, honestly.
Because by the time they get to the criminals, we'll be dealing with something for people who've been here for a couple of decades.
Well, and in particular...
Yes, Mexico might see it as an invasion on their land or whatever, but we're just protecting our border. And they don't want none. They don't want none.
And so 10,000 military to the southern border. They're not going to be enforcement. They can't because of posse comitatus.
Good morning, Spa. There's a lot of birthday people. Marjo is a birthday.
Hey, let's look at posse comitatus. It was
Spelljammer is a
Act of
birthday.
1807 or something like that. Maybe
Aquarius in the house
because of what's going on. The Washington Post this morning is suggesting that the flow of migrants across our southern border is going to immediately stop, because Border Patrol agents are going to block the migrants on grounds that they have passed through countries where communicable diseases are present. They're not going to say what the diseases are. They're not going to say what the countries are, but they're going to say, no, you've been exposed. You can't come in. They are going to try.
Well, the argument Mama read is that troops cannot be deployed on domestic soil, whether it's against citizens or not. Which makes no sense. What if we had an invasion? We do now, right? So it's like, it's all semantics. It's all semantics. That's what they're claiming. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not true. And that's what these people are claiming. And it's just, that's why I say people be stupid. They're trying to twist the laws like they always do.
When they come in, they've been coached by the cartels. Okay, just say you're here for asylum.
Yeah, they'd be dumb.
Only 2 Border Patrol officials in the U.S. government will be to authorize people coming into the country and release an asylum seeker. One person is the brand new Border Patrol chief, Mike Banks, and the other person is his deputy.
He used to be our border czar.
Right, exactly. So what's going to happen is, oh, okay, can I come in? I'm going to claim asylum, and you got to talk to the boss. Here, go. You're not coming in.
Can I talk about the criminals?
And another quick secret that I gotta let you guys in on to perform at your
All right, you guys,
self,
it's time.
your full-out self is this creatine. I take it every.
Exactly, Spelljammer. That's Mama Red. I love you guys. We might come back tonight. Bye, Kit Kat. And continue this conversation because it's an interesting. Bye, Marjo. Happy birthday, Marjo. I love you very much. Bye, guys.